We have ourselves a bunch of elections went down last night. Ohio legalized weed, which is like incredible. Now Pennsylvania is like Ohio legalized it, New Jersey legalized it, New York legalized it. I think Maryland legalized it too, right? Maybe not. Is Pennsylvania? Oh, I mean, West Virginia didn't. Okay, so technically, West Virginia did not. And in an overwhelming landslide, the people of Ohio enshrined abortion rights into their constitution. Democratic Socialist won in Allegheny County as the county executive for Pittsburgh. But at the same time, a right-wing DA won re-election for the 8th time. Pittsburgh voters are very weird. In Virginia, massive overperformance for Virginia Democrats. Pennsylvania statewide, I think the Democratic candidates for state Supreme Court did well. South Jersey going deep red, yeah, but I think the Virginia results are better. Let's hop right into that. My take is this. After last night, the only question I have to ask is Biden the only candidate who could lose to Trump? I think the situation we have now is that everybody pretty much hates the Republican Party. Question is, do they hate Biden more? Or is Biden being underestimated by us? I feel like that is the issue that we're facing. You hear what Hassan said? No, what did Hassan say? There are at least 24 Democrats that are less popular than Joseph Robin. I mean, sure. Sure. I mean ones that could win the nomination, okay? CBS exit poll says no. You want to link that to me? I didn't take a look at that yet. Here's my feeling. Here's my feeling is I personally despise Joe Biden because I understand that he represents the right wing of the Democratic Party and no change whatsoever. But at the same time, I also recognize the Republican Party is a fascist organ, an organization that can't be trusted with the country. So I'm trying to shoot the moon, which is be part of the pressure that is piling on Joe Biden to hopefully force him out before it's too late. And I think the only thing that I could reasonably do is threaten to withhold my vote from Biden. And if enough people threaten to withhold their vote for Biden, then he becomes unviable. His entire reason for being is being electable. If he's not electable, he's nothing. Are we playing chicken or playing hardball? Right now, we're playing hardball. Talk to me next year. We'll make a decision then. Todd basically said most Americans are racist and it won't make a difference. I do think that Americans are comfortable with Muslim people dying. I think that is straight up true. In Philly, we got the Republicans out of city council. I would say that Pennsylvania overall, the left did quite well, which was good to see, even without me. So let's take a look at election results. I would say that, man, I would say that the Democratic Party is behind the country. That's where I would say. Like, the voters are far to the left of the Democratic Party, especially when it comes to playing hardball with Republicans. And that is why we, it's hard, I think that almost they're ruthlessly
now let's dig into some
more strategic than their politicians are. Their politicians are the naive dipshits. Now, they're not really naive. They're really, really cynical. They put out a vibe of being naive. I wonder if somebody could win the Democratic Party by just being super anti-Republican. Is that strategy viable for left-wing candidates? Remedial Pikachu, thanks for the tier 2. Can we talk about how the fact that 22 Democrats voted to censor Rashida? Yeah, that'll happen later.
Some of these numbers we've been talking about. Let's go over to the big board. NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki, I think, is still there from last night. Steve, we're grateful for your service. What are you looking at first?
Yeah, just taking you through some of the states you've been talking about. You look at Kentucky. This is, there are still some votes to come in, but it's going to be about a 5-point victory for Beshear. I think one way of looking at this is in a presidential election, look in 2020. This is what the red-blue map in Kentucky looked like. There were exactly of 120 counties in Kentucky, there were 2 that went Democratic, where the 2 big cities are Louisville and Lexington. And as you said, a 26-point Trump victory. And again, you take a look at what happened last night, you see a lot more blue on this map. Actually, 26 of the 120 counties in the state went to Andy Beshear. His number in 2019 when he barely won was 23. So he added 3 new counties to his tally. He kept what he had before. And I think what's most interesting is, first of all, where did this victory come from for him? Well, he drove up support even higher.
The things that you should look at when you're looking at these kind of governor's races is that for some reason, this is the last office in America that American voters will vote split ticket. Bernie Sanders will get 70% of the vote in Vermont, but they'll elect a Republican as governor. Similarly in Maryland, similarly in Massachusetts. And then you've had, as I said last night, we've recently had Democratic governors in Montana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, North Carolina, and just to name a few. So the idea that this is, showing some sort of like big change toward the Democratic Party, I don't think that's necessarily true. However, what it does show is that the Democratic Party is massively underperforming their expectations. People can tell the grifters in their own state, and the federal PM teams don't know how to function in specific states. Yeah, I think that's possible. I don't know about that, though. I mean, a lot of Republicans are always grifters.
Higher in these core Democratic areas. Take a look, Fayette County. This is where Lexington is, University of Kentucky. He's going to win this thing by about 45 points, about 44 points over Daniel Cameron. Bashir, last time around, got 66% here, and that was a big number. He grew it in the second largest county in the state. Similarly, Jefferson County.
In other words, what he's saying is that white college-educated voters hate Republicans even more. That's basically what he's saying here.
Is he got 67% last time. Looks like he's squeezing more votes out this time than last time. So these are the big population centers, Democratic producing counties, and Bashir just squeezed a lot more out of them. But what I think is even more remarkable, and this was a story 4 years ago for him, and it was definitely a story last night, is you kind of look at this part, this eastern part of the state, which is traditionally coal country. Now, you can go back a generation, definitely 2 generations, and you find Democrats here. They tend to be more conservative Democrats, working class Democrats, and they have had a massive shift.
We would call those Union Democrats. We would call those Union Democrats. Unfortunately, the Democratic Party said, we don't need unions, right on their way to their biggest minorities in history.
This part of the state in presidential elections, federal elections, toward the Republicans. See this little sea of blue here in coal country? Let's take a look. All won by Bashir. Take a look at how some of these counties voted in the 2020 presidential election that Bashir won last night. Trump got nearly 80% of the vote here in Letcher County. In Knott County, 77% of the vote for Donald Trump, 75% of the vote. These are counties that Andy Bashir was able to win last night. So his success, not just in core Democratic areas, but in reaching areas that Democrats had kind of concluded in Kentucky a few years ago were lost to them, certainly at the federal level, is a key part of it.
Steve, sorry to interrupt. How do you explain that? How do you explain a flip where Donald Trump's winning 80% of the vote and then Bashir wins those counties a couple of years later?
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is kind of crazy. Take a look.
I'm very concerned that Kentucky is a major bellwether. Literally no interest in either candidate and split down ticket. The KDP literally did nothing to even promote Andy. I mean, the Democratic Party of Kentucky is basically useless. Do you think this assessment is correct? The reason Biden might lose is because the swing states he needs to win to be president again needs him to drive up numbers in urban areas with many non-white people, and those people have decreased support for Biden. The suburbs will go Biden because they love his economy and foreign policy. I don't think foreign policy is why they're voting for Democrats, man. If anything, people strongly disapprove of Biden's performance on foreign policy. They disapprove of his handling of Israel-Palestine. The fact that there's a war going on, people don't like that. Normal people don't like wars because they're bad. Only psychotic freaks like wars. Most normal people are like, how do we stop war? You know, because they understand intuitively, and they're right, that they're going to bear all the costs and get none of the benefits. You're overstating how much people care about Biden's handling of Israel-Palestine. That's not what I said at all. I said they're opposed to him on the issue. They don't like wars. Not that they're voting on that. I would say what we saw last night is simply this. People were voting appropriately. People were voting for shit that was local. They were saying, I like this candidate over the other candidate. I want marijuana legal. I want abortion rights. They didn't bring in other shit to their vote, which is surprising, to say the least.
Look here, Floyd County, I'll give you an example. Bashir's going to win this thing by 14 points. This part of Kentucky, and there are regions of the country that are like this, particularly in this neck of the woods, has been on a wild political journey over the last generation. John Kerry, 2004, against George W. Bush, carried this county by 26 points, and Donald Trump won it by 50. So a 74-point swing in 16 years in this county. Yeah.
Did you say that's coal country?
Traditionally, that's the eastern coal country of Kentucky.
So you're talking basically about West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia, people don't remember now, but West Virginia was a Democratic state, and then turn of the century,
it's almost like they were union members.
our century, it started to shift, and Donald Trump's best state was in West Virginia. I am curious, what can Andy Beshear teach other Democrats about winning in coal country?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, honestly, a huge part of it, because this was a story in 2019 as well. He wouldn't have won the governorship if he hadn't won coal country. Now, he had two things going for him, I think, in 2019 and again last night when you're talking about that region of the state and regions, similar to it. Number one, he was a brand name. Has a brand name last name from a sort of earlier era in Kentucky politics. His father, Steve Beshear, had been the governor of the state back when it was still possible for Democrats to do pretty well in coal country. So I think there was some sort of spillover from that. But the second thing is, this is the kind of state where you'll still see different results when you're talking about a statewide election or a race for governor than you will for a federal election, the presidency, the United States Senate, members of Congress. Kentucky is a state that is going thoroughly red when it comes to federal elections. But what these voters have shown is a willingness to cross that federal party line when it comes to somebody who's just going to be the governor of their state or going to hold statewide office and not be part of the National Democratic Party, not be tied closely to the leaders of the National Democratic Party, who are and remain very unpopular in Kentucky. So it's just, West Virginia is a perfect example. I mean, yes, you're talking the West Virginia, very close to West Virginia right there. And these are similar states in that way. It was a shock in 2000 when George W. Bush suddenly carried West Virginia in the presidential election. Michael Dukakis carried West Virginia back in 1988. But yeah, this neck of the woods, basically, it was about 2004 to 2008. It just flipped.
I wonder why they flipped so hard.
Went over to the western part of the state, sort of western coal country in Kentucky. It happened a little bit earlier, about 1996 or so was the Democrats' last stand with Bill Clinton. But you've seen just these massive, massive shifts in these rural areas of Kentucky and other states like it in Appalachia.
So, Steve, let's look at Virginia then as we move around the map a little bit. What exactly happened there? A lot of eyes on those House races, the Senate races. Not only did Democrats hold the Senate, but the
Dems did really well in Virginia. The guys who work at the military-industrial complex really wanted to vote for Democrats. People that build the bombs to drop on children really wanted to vote for Democrats.
They flipped the House in a blow to Glenn Youngkin, who, by the way, even 24 hours ago, people were saying, if this goes well, maybe he hops in the presidential race. I think those
numbers are incredible.
Yeah, I mean, so again, we have the numbers here. Unfortunately, we are the board can do many wonderful things, but state legislative district boundaries we don't have drawn in here yet. Let's see if we can change that one of these days. But anyway,
why not? It's shape files just like any other district, you lazy pieces of shit. What are you doing all day? You're billions of dollars in this fucking company. What are you doing all day?
Coming into last night, the Democrats did control the state Senate. They had a
Bro, it was about abortion. I know. That's what I've been saying. But Northern Virginia is literally where the people that make money off of the Pentagon live. Like, what? Do you not know that?
22-18.
Are we going to cover Rashida? Election results. Reproductive rights wins in Ohio. More countries opposed Israel. Rep Rashida Tlaib censured for truth. I wonder if we're going to cover it.
Margin, and there are still 2 uncalled races, but they're going to finish with at least 21. Keep in mind the backdrop. One of the
I don't mind people asking me questions, but it's like the answer is right there, my friend. Title is right there.
Big pieces of context here in Virginia was everybody last night in both the state legislative chambers was running under brand new and in some cases radically altered lines. There was a big fight over redistricting that got settled by a third party. So you had some incumbents of each party who were running in districts that were almost completely different than what they'd run in before. You had a ton of retirements because of the dramatic redistricting, but it leaves Democrats in the state Senate with at least 21. 21 is the magic number to guarantee them control there. And then you take a look at the House. This is what Republicans had led coming into the night, what they were hoping to add the Senate to, control of the House. And Democrats, again, 2 uncalled seats, at least 51. There may be another gain out there for them, but the bottom line, no matter what happens with those 2 other seats, the Democrats are going to have outright control of the House of Delegates, and they're going to have outright control of the state Senate. And as you say, the goal for Youngkin was the exact opposite, to retain control of the House of Delegates and to gain control of the state.
Really, really important dub. So, you know, in 2025, the Democrats could be going for a trifecta in Virginia. Not that they'll do anything with it, but hey, at least the Republicans won't have it. Am I right?
Senate, and he's going to leave the night with neither.
You want some water with your ice? God damn. You understand that ice is water, right? South of the border, they call it agua. It's not, hey, not water, it's agua. Let's look at some positive news, okay? How about we do this? Positive news.
Of the trust that you've placed in me. And I am confident that together we can build an Allegheny County for us all. First and foremost, I want to welcome you to Millville, one of the greatest places. And it's great because people who are right here in this corner, the mayor, we have the council president and council members, police chiefs, everyone. You've just done a tremendous job here in this community, and you just make people feel welcomed and included, and I'm just so proud to have represented you and proud to represent you in this different capacity and work together to make Millville and all of Allegheny County a place where everyone can thrive. I want to thank Mr. Smalls, Liz, and your team. You guys are amazing. I think this is like, yes, Jeff, Liz Berlin. I think this is like my teenage dream to be on this stage. I don't know if you've ever seen a
If you don't know who Sarah is, that's fine, because you're probably not involved in Democratic politics and socialist politics like I am. Basically, she was part of the socialist revolt in Pittsburgh, and she won a seat in the state legislature by overturning one of the Costas. She kicked one of the Costas for a famous conservative Democrat family in Western Pennsylvania. They have like a dynasty where a bunch of different Costas are in political office. She kicked his ass. Summer Lee also was one of those people who won. So Sarah ran for county executive for Allegheny County, which is the county that Pittsburgh is in. And so now Pittsburgh has a left-wing mayor, center-left mayor, a socialist county executive, a socialist congressional representative. Pittsburgh, the home of the steelworker, the ultimate white working class stereotype, is ruled by socialist politicians.
Yeah, we're in the thank you part, so it's going to be a little long because there are a lot of people to thank. I want to recognize the tireless efforts of my team: Dave, Deja, Eric, Casey, Olivia, Sam, and Viola. And some are up here, some are out in the crowd. This victory is yours. It's a testament to your experience and your work and your dedication and the belief in the vision that we can ensure that we create a county where everyone can thrive. You know, unfortunately, my sister rep, Summer Lee, she couldn't be here tonight, but we first ran together in 2018, and I have seen firsthand the importance of strong communities and the power that we can build together. I want to thank her for her constant support and friendship. And I know with the Congresswoman, along with Senator Fetterman and Casey and Congressman Chris Deluzio, we can bring that federal money back here to Allegheny County.
Fetterman. Why do you suck so much? Why?
You heard from our amazing Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis. We, along with Governor Shapiro, we are going to be partners, along with our State House and State Senate members. And I especially want to call out Nick Piscatano, Jessica Benham, Emily Kincaid, Ariane Abney, Dan Miller, Senator Jay Costa, Senator Lindsey Williams. Your faith in my ability to lead this county in coalition with you will not be forgotten. And I know we're going to do great things. And I know I'm going to ask for a lot in that budget next year. For that transit.
What has Summer Lee said about Israel? Damn. I mean, I know some of you are lazy, but Jesus Christ. I mean, I know some of you are lazy pieces of shit, but Jesus Christ. You know, you complain and you whine. About politicians not being good enough. And when they do everything right, you're too lazy to even notice. You know who does notice? AIPAC. Does who notice? Democratic Majority for Israel. You know who does notice? Mossad. It's just very annoying to me that people have this fucking attitude. Sarah ran on improving policies at the Allegheny County Jail as part of a comprehensive public health approach to public safety. She supports ending mandatory minimum solitary confinement and fines and fees for minor offenses. She advocates for affordable housing. She was endorsed by Our Revolution. My city passed a luxury tax on homes to fund affordable housing trust, kept a book banner out of the school board, and my DSA affiliated sister-in-law won a seat on the city council, beating a big money interest candidate. Let's fucking go. Pockets 93. Let's fucking go.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Okay. Whew. Pretty exciting stuff. We're gonna Rathbone it up. By the way, Justice Scalia's daughter, Meg Scalia Bryce, has lost her race for school board. She favored anti-trans policies, opposed CRT, bad night for Moms for Liberty in Virginia. Playing moderate, Antonin Scalia's daughter wants a Virginia school board seat. Nah. Fucking owned.
Barnaby Rain has appeared.
A big thank you to President Donald J.
So, by the way, chat, Daniel Cameron, who lost in Kentucky. I don't think we did enough discussions on the Kentucky race.
A big thank you.
Guy who lost in Kentucky is a piece of fucking shit. Basically did the Breonna Taylor cover up for the cops that just murdered her. And he was the attorney general during all of that. And he got fucking destroyed. Phobius Loops, thanks for the tier 1. The voters of Kentucky had no time for this. Sorry, Mitch.
Thank you to President Donald J. Trump for his support and his endorsement of this campaign. Let me just say, the Trump culture of winning is alive and well in Kentucky. Well, that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to. I promised the governor I'd be brief, so I'll be brief tonight and say thank you all.
Trump-backed candidates pick up where they left off in 2022 with Republican Daniel Cameron losing the governor's race in the deep red state of Kentucky. So you can add to your list.
So,
Do you want to update your list?
So, Willie, I wrote this down.
Got this list.
I've been working.
We've never heard it before.
Do you mind if I copy off your paper? I'm going to write mine too.
Oh, God. Come on.
The Trump culture of winning. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Trump, now, after last night's results, Trump and his Republican Party have lost the elections in 2017, in 2018, in 2019. Hold on, let's see. Does it end there? No, they lost also in 2020. They lost in 2021. There has to be a win for Republicans sometime soon because they keep going back to Donald Trump.
Well,
so maybe they won in 2020. No. Trump Republicans lost in 2022, and they lost in 2023. And they don't really. The crazy thing is, you look at these primary voters, they don't really care. It's like Donald Trump is the political heroine of losing.
Oh, God.
Like you just take a shot in 2016 and you just lie back and you're.
This is the copium of the liberal. And I could just say this right now. Donald Trump is different from Republicans trying to kiss his ass. All right? It does seem that he doesn't have a lot of coattails when he's not on the ballot. It seems that basically what happens is white, college-educated people don't like Republicans because of its association with Trump. And they turn out. But that's different than when Trump's on the ballot. I guess we're going to have to see. The evidence right there is that this, on the presidential race, which is fundamentally a referendum about Joe Biden, even with Donald Trump on the ballot right now, people are acting as if it's a referendum on Joe Biden. And he's not doing well. That being said, the overall conditions seem to be good for Democrats. In my politics class, centrists and Republicans split between Nikki Haley and Trump. Do you see what your problem is there, Chunky Opossum? You said class. That implies you're going to college. Republicans don't like college. And the Republicans who are in college, they're weirdos. They don't represent the base of the Republican Party. You're already sorted out like the vast majority of Republican voters just by that context. It lines up with polls that say generic Deb beats Republican by 5 or 6. Exactly. The generic Democrat is far more popular than the generic Republican. Problem is Joe Biden is very unpopular. And it's in large part because he's considered not up to the job. He doesn't have enough wins for people on the left. And he's got no personal charisma.
You're just smiling while your party loses in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. And you're coming back for more in 24.
Yeah, Donald Trump, I would add, lost the popular vote in 2016, of course, won the Electoral College. But that's also true. Yeah, that Daniel Cameron, the Republican, a rising star in the Republican Party, was backed by Donald Trump in the state of Kentucky, ran a tough race, and lost by 5 points. The Democrat, the governor, Andy Beshear, won very, very impressively last night. Remember, last time around, he won by 0.4 of a point. Last night, Governor Beshear, the Democrat in the state, Donald Trump won by 26 points.
Wow.
Trump won by 26 points, winning handily by 5 points. So this was Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell's candidate here. A big loss for them there. And the issue I know we're going to talk about this morning of abortion. Playing in this race, playing in Ohio, of course, and that ballot initiative, playing in Virginia, all across the country. Republicans, again, falling down on this issue that they so wanted, they so craved, overturning Roe versus Wade. They got it 18 months ago, and they continue to pay for it politically.
Boy, they get pounded. It's like, I've said for years.
Republicans have been losing for years. That's why they control Congress and the Supreme Court. I mean, that is here is the problem. The problem is that when Republicans get any political power, they exercise it skillfully and they enact big gains for their supporters. When Democrats gain power, they give big gains for Republican supporters. There doesn't seem to be a vote that you can make on the ballot that'll give us a win.
That one of my favorite political sayings. I heard the late Senator Paul Simon from Illinois say it. In politics, sometimes when you win, you lose, and sometimes when you lose, you win. There's never been a greater example of that than when the United States Supreme Court.
I mean, personally, I think that the abortion decision in Dobbs was one of the dumbest decisions ever made, both jurisprudentially and legally and politically. Idiotic. And the Republican Party is not really a party. It's an amalgamation of corrupt interest groups. And what they do is they have a highly organized minority, tiny sliver of the electorate with objectively extreme views. But those people show up to vote, they donate with their wallets, they campaign, and they're loud. And the Republican Party is just an amalgamation of various extremist single issue voters. And that's how they cobble together a coalition. And just by existing in that coalition, there begins to be cross-pollination.
In a lot of, I think, sleazy political maneuvers, packed the court and has a court that is deeply, deeply conservative and unrepresentative of the rest of the country. And they overturned a 50-year precedent that 73% of Americans were against being overturned. And the political ramifications just keep coming, whether it's in Kansas, whether it's in Kentucky, whether it's in Wisconsin, whether it's like, I mean, you name it, everywhere. Abortion, the rights of women to make healthcare choices keep winning in state after state after state after state and election after election after election. And at this point, you would really think Republicans would get it, but they don't. I'll tell you another thing.
They can't do anything. They can't do anything about abortion. They didn't pass a law. Well, they did at the state level, right? But that's all gerrymandered. They didn't pass a law. They didn't convince the American people that abortion should be illegal. They got a Supreme Court decision to overturn a legal compromise that had been basically an accepted part of American life for decades. And if there's one thing Americans don't like, is having things taken away from them. They're not very, Americans are not able to actually expect things to get better, but they do get pissed when things get worse. Hand to the band, thanks to the tier 1. End Wokeness says, I know you guys are not ready to hear this, but here is the sad truth. Being anti-abortion is a losing issue. I say this as a staunch pro-lifer. America is addicted to abortion. Election after election has proven this. The public loves child sacrifice. Don't shoot the messenger. I think in this case, you could shoot the messenger. You can shoot the messenger this time.
Real footnote from last night, but election denying, a loser. And in fact, Jonathan Lemire, if you go into Kentucky, where I will say again, a Democrat. I mean, Republican
won the governor of Vermont. A Republican won the governor of Maryland. A Republican won the governor of Massachusetts. Can we calm down? There's a Republican governor in Virginia right now. Like, please, just stop pretending this is that significant. It's not.
Despite
Maryland has a Democratic governor now, but they had a Republican governor for years. It was
the New York Times,
Do you think this court will be looked back as shitty as the Taney court, the Dred Scott decision? My response to that is, I can't imagine Americans actually becoming engaged with politics at a level that is sophisticated enough to counter the problem of the U.S. Supreme Court. The Democratic Party basically wants you to be an unsophisticated dipshit who just votes blue no matter who. They don't want an educated, empowered activist base. And I'll give you some evidence of what I'm talking about. When Barack Obama won, he had this organization called OFA, Obama for America, right? And he basically disarmed it. He told all the progressive activist groups that had aligned with Obama to get him elected, he told them to stand down, disengage. He took OFA and he did nothing with it. He disarmed it. He diffused it because he understood that if he had a grassroots organization that was empowered, they would make demands. And he didn't want to deliver anything except helping out hedge fund managers, because Obama's goal was always to get rich. Obama's goal was to get generational wealth for the Obamas. I didn't understand that at the time. I think very few people actually understood that. But his actions, especially after leaving office, and during his time in office, have been oriented in such a way to make him money. I think a lot of Americans don't want to hear that, which is part of the reason why we're in the situation we're in.
Polls. A Democrat won the state of Kentucky. But
the Santorum analysis for 24 seconds? Okay.
Very sexy things like abortion and marijuana, and you put very sexy things like abortion and marijuana on the ballot, and a lot of young people come out and vote. It was a secret sauce for disaster in Ohio. I don't know what they were thinking, but that's why I thank goodness that most of the states in this country don't allow you to put everything on the ballot, because pure democracies are not the way to run a country.
And the thing is, like, I want you to hear that and obviously take that in as Republicans are anti-democracy, which is obviously true. But then you have to understand, wait a minute. And here's where analysis kicks in. Okay, Rick Santorum, former Republican senator from Pennsylvania, says something. If you put marijuana legalization and abortion rights on the ballot, that'll bring out a lot of young people. And you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, why aren't Democrats doing that? Why, if it's such an obvious blunder to do it, why are Democrats doing that as a strategy? If Rick Santorum could immediately tell the truth in 5 minutes and go, yeah, these are some really popular issues for young people, how come the Democrats can't? Joe Biden doesn't even support legalizing weed, and it's winning in Ohio. What's going on? Joe Biden won't even say the word abortion, and it wins in Kansas. It wins in Ohio. What's going on?
So then you're...
But the Republican that did the best in the state of Kentucky was a Secretary of State candidate who strongly and vocally took aim at election deniers and pounded away at them, and has never once allowed any election denying in his campaign. And he won big in Kentucky last night. It's just like Georgia, where, you know, you have Georgia Republicans who crushed Donald Trump's hand-selected candidates in 22, and they did it again by being strong against election denying.
Yeah, we saw this in last year's midterms, too. The most high-profile election deniers all lost, whether they were running for governor or senator. Yes, there's a bunch still in the House of Representatives. We know that. But election denialism is a losing issue for Republicans writ large. So, as just discussed, abortion. Abortion rights wins again. Women want the right to health care, to make their own decisions for them. We saw that.
Whoa. They don't want the right to health care. They want the right to choose a health insurance plan for half their fucking salary, okay? They don't want a right to health care. Calm down. Sounds like Medicare for all there for a second. We need a massive educational campaign for under 25s as to what's going on. They're overwhelmingly voting brainwashed left now and will soon overwhelmingly vote desperate fascists soon. Bro, you are the fascist. You are the fascist.
In Ohio with a huge win there in a state that has trended red.
I know you mentioned abstaining for the next presidential election. I will say what I've always said. Our goal right now is to get rid of Joe Biden. That is the best strategic move we could do, is put so much pressure on Biden, the Democratic Party, and go, look, he's a weight around your neck. Look at the polls. He's going to lose. He's not up for the job. So he retires. That is our goal right now. Because Joe Biden is a bad president. Doesn't know how to be president. He doesn't have any charisma. And he could very well lose to Trump. Also, we want him to get a ceasefire in Gaza. The only way he changes positions on Israel is if it's unpopular to maintain his current position. It's our job to make it unpopular.
We saw it play a big role in Virginia, which has really potentially upended Governor Glenn Youngkin's political future, at least the chatter around him as a rising star. He took a big loss yesterday. Up and down the ballot, this was wins for abortion rights, and also, let's be clear, a win for Democrats. And as so many were blowing up my phone all night last night, so pleased that these results come at any time, but particularly on the heels of those New York Times Siena College polls over the weekend that looked so worrisome for President Biden, showing that, again, polls say what they say, but Democrats, in the age of Trump, they win elections year after year. Special election, off-year election, midterm election, presidential election. Democrats win elections. And look, a lot of work has to be done. Democrats acknowledged to me before next year. That race is going to be very, very, very tight. But this last night previewed a little bit of the driving forces that are going to shape that campaign too.
Democrats were lining up to run and challenge Joe Biden before the 2022 midterm because they were sure the red wave was going to be so terrible. They were lining up, they were calling around, they were getting their finances in order, and then boom, once again, Joe Biden's underestimated. 2023, boom, the same thing happens again. You can go back to the 2020 elections. We say it all the time. After Iowa, Biden's too old, Biden's out. After New Hampshire, Biden's too old, Biden's out. After Nevada, Biden's too old, Biden's out. Then he comes into South Carolina, he picks up an endorsement, and he crushes the rest of the field, and he's president of the United States, despite the fact that Donald Trump and all of his allies said he's too old, he's campaigning in his basement, he's too old. Boom. He wins again. It just keeps happening. I mean, it's crazy.
There you go. That's the spin. That's the spin. 77% of voters under 30 supported abortion. 64% of independents at a higher rate than women. Even. Biden job rating. Women, 58% disapprove. Voters under 30, 63% disapprove. Independents, 61 disapprove. Wow.